Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus on this chilly, snowy Monday morning here in the Denver area across eastern Colorado. I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi to look at that forecast. And yes, it is chilly, it is snowy out there. We picked up about 6 inches of snow here in downtown Denver at 9 News World Headquarters here at Spear and Logan. And most of us in the downtown area picking about 4 to 8 inches worth of snowfall, a little bit on the higher end as you head just west of I-25, a little bit lower east of I-25. I'm going to show you those snowfall totals in just a second, but in Denver, we're done with the accumulating snow. Foothills could get a bit more snow later on today, maybe a little bit more on the Palmer Divide as well. But as you head east of Denver and south, that's where we still got a bit more snow yet to go later on today. And those winds, boy, it has been windy out there. Those winds certainly part of the issue out there on this Monday morning as well. And those winds will relax tonight, but still a few more hours. So those blustery conditions to go. Up at Grand Lake, still seeing some of that light snow falling there in the mountains. Mountains will actually get another round of snow for it tomorrow. But for us here in Denver, it's just kind of gray. It is cold. It is kind of fluttering around with a little bit of that light snow here and there for us here in downtown. And that snow will continue as we head over the next couple. That very light snow will continue for today. Windy for today. That's kind of, I think, my main story will be the wind and the cold. Those winds will relax for tonight. It is chilly for today. It warms up a little bit for tomorrow, more in a bit more earnestly with that warm up for Wednesday and Thursday. Mountain snow on its way for tomorrow as well. So here's a look at some of those snowfall reports before we kind of look ahead at that forecast. I want to look back at what we saw here. We picked up a good, I would say most of the downtown area, most of the metro area picked up about 4 to 8 inches worth of snowfall. Saw a lot of 5s, a lot of 6s, a lot of 7s in terms of those snowfall reports, and a few 8s and 9s, and a few lower end totals, a few 2 and 3, 4 inch reports on the south and east side of the metro area. That's actually where we saw the least snowfall, out by Parker. And I'll show you this in map form in just a second, but again, a pretty good storm overall. This is a solid medium-sized storm at the end of the day. The official, and I put that in quotation marks because this is at the airport, which is virtually useless because this has been an upslope-driven season, which means that the airport is missing out on that snowfall. So far this season at the airport, we picked up 38.3 inches worth of snowfall. Here downtown, we're probably closer to about 50 inches. I'm going to take a look at some of those numbers later on today, but at downtown, I think it's safe to say we're right around 50 inches. This storm, we picked up about double what the airport did. And of course, last week when we picked about a foot of snow downtown, the airport only saw a little less than 6 inches. So again, just kind of reemphasize the fact that the airport, very, very unrepresentative of what we've seen in the downtown corridor so far this winter season. So Denver area snowfall totals, very interesting storm in many different respects, but this is very unusual is that Aurora, Parker, kind of 225 on east or south, I should say 225 on east and south, 70 mostly missed out on this storm. And Castle Rock, I'll be honest, I thought Castle Rock would get a really good thumping out of this one. Only about 4 or 5 inches in Castle Rock, which is certainly not a nothing storm by any stretch of the imagination, but I thought that there would be some 6-inch plus totals down there for sure. I felt pretty confident about that, but what kind of ended up happening last night was all the snow kind of conglomerated into one big line, and that meant that basically everybody got a fairly equal amount of snowfall, though we did favor the west side of town because that band just kind of sat still over the west side of town before it started moving off to the east. And as a result of that, the west side of town, because of that slow-moving band, kind of set up over the west side of the city and sat there for a little bit of time. That's why we saw some of those higher totals west of I-25 as opposed to east of I-25. That said, the accumulating stuff's done for us here in town, where we're seeing some of that heavy snowfall right now in southeast Colorado. And also, this is being driven by winds. Folks, Highway 50, Pueblo on east to Lamar, that is basically an impossible drive at this point, I would imagine, because of the heavy snowfall with those strong winds. Those winds are whipping probably 40, 50 miles an hour down there, plus some heavy snow. I cannot imagine that is at all passable at this point. You're talking about probably quarter mile or less visibility out there. La Junta on east to Lamar. Off to the north. Still, by the way here, folks, and I'm going to get into this in just a second, still talking about some of that snow coming down for us in Fort Morgan and Burlington, but the issue is we've already seen a few inches of snow out on the eastern plains, and that's getting blown around by the wind. So we actually will probably be dealing with blizzard conditions all day and night, even though it may not actively be snowing. And we're going to get more on that here in just a second. Now, interestingly, mountain snowfall will redevelop later today on the plains, that snow will actually end. So kind of two different dynamics at play. And then we're going to get another surge of moisture move its way into the mountains tomorrow, and that'll lead to some more snow out that way. Blizzard warning in place for tonight, and that's for Kit Carson and Yuma counties here. That includes I-70. So folks, I-70 is going to be a very difficult drive tonight. If you can avoid it, I would strongly encourage that. Tomorrow will be much better on the eastern plains. The wind will relax. The snow will entirely come to a close. It'll settle a bit more. But this is maybe a little bit surprising to some of you. So when we talk about a blizzard, a lot of people associate that with a big snowstorm, right? It has nothing to do with the amount of snow that actually falls. What a blizzard means is that you've got 3 or more hours, 3 consecutive hours or longer of 35-mile-an-hour winds and snow and quarter-mile or less visibility. And what it means is that travel is next to impossible. Notice what is not there. We're not talking about snowfall amounts or definitions. So as we head over the next few hours, and this is really worth noting, that the eastern plains is going to be a very difficult drive out there, including I-70, because again, that combination of snow and wind means limited visibility. So again, just please keep that in mind as you head out on the eastern plains later on today. Winds right now in the metro area are probably generally okay right now, but you get east, and you might see that on the edge of your screen there, 43-mile-an-hour gusts for us at Lyman, so at the municipal airport out there. So again, those winds today will be around, but it's going to kind of relax as we head into tonight. The eastern plains is going to get the worst of the wind. Current temperatures, this is another story. It is cold out there. We dropped down to 17 at DIA this morning. Worth noting as well that we were at 57. We got up to 57 degrees yesterday afternoon. So we dropped by about 40 degrees in just 13 hours overnight. So this is a very big tumble in those temperatures, and we went from nice warm, relatively warm day yesterday to thunderstorms yesterday afternoon to snow, and that was a wild, wild day of weather, no doubt about that. One of those Colorado weather days, no doubt about it, yesterday. Now for today, not as wild. We will have those winds. I put miserable in there, but that's up to you. Some of you might like this, but it's not going to be fun to be outside. It's windy, it's cold, it's cloudy, it's 36 degrees. We're about 20 plus degrees below our seasonal average. We're close to 60 degrees on average this time of year for our high, but won't be anywhere near that. Tonight we're going to drop down to 15 degrees, wind out of the north 10 to 20 miles an hour. That wind will relax for us. That means that cold air will settle. That colder, denser air wants to kind of move towards the ground, but if you get that wind in place, it's going to kind of blow around that warmer air closer to the surface. But when that wind relaxes, that actually means it gets colder in terms of the actual air temperature for tonight. A lot of teens and 20s eastern plains for tonight. Again, very winter-like feel on this early spring Monday night. Tomorrow, a bit better than today. Still chilly, but partly cloudy skies. Highs in the mid-40s for us. 40s, 50s eastern plains. 20s and 30s into the high country for those high temperatures for tomorrow. That 7-day forecast, we do get some mountain snowfall in the picture, but for the next few days, I think we're mostly calm. Our next storm will impact us on Easter Sunday with some rain, and that'll last into the early part of next week with some rain showers likely for us on your Easter Sunday. Snowpack in good shape. I'm going to update these numbers for you here, but we're in pretty good shape in terms of that snowpack. So overall takeaways, calm for the next few days, but today still some travel issues, especially on I-70 east of Lyman. That's where it's going to be rough for today, and also especially Highway 50 southeast Colorado. That is a very rough drive from I-25 on east. So I'll have more updates for you coming up later on today. I'll have another update for you come up at 9 News at noon and at 2 p.m. here on 9 News Plus. So I'll keep you posted with the very latest on all that here on 9 News and on 9 News Plus. So more details later on today. Once again, I'm 9 News meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Thanks for joining us here on 9 News Plus.